are live. We lost Bradley.
Uh-oh.
Bradley was with us. I don't know. He must have got a bad connection or something.
Huh.
But you're watching Out of the Box podcast. I'm Jim Andre, and my co-host Bradley Powers was with us, but he suddenly disappeared. Yeah, and we got
Mystically disappeared.
Yeah, we got special guest Christopher Shira here with us. So how you doing, Chris?
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for joining us. Bradley's back.
There we go.
Oh, no problem. Did you get abducted again?
Yeah, I got abducted. Yeah.
His connection got abducted.
You know what I think? I think he pressed the wrong button. That's what I think. Did you press the wrong button on your tablet, Bradley?
Oh, Joe Lane is in the house. Hi there, Joe Lane.
He's changing the subject.
Shannon's with us too.
Hi, Shannon. See, I can see Shannon, but I can't see Joe Lane. So some of them don't come through on this feed here.
That's because they're not watching from your links. Maybe
Right.
If Bradley shared it to his.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I think Bradley, that's what he usually does. He usually shares it out.
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing now, Bradley?
Yeah.
Sharing. Okay. Yeah, very good. So what's new, Chris?
Oh, not much. I got a few things that I can share with y'all. Here's a few things.
Well, it looks like more than a few.
Yeah. I want to start out with this right here. This is something I wrote a few years ago. It was right when the whole shebang thing started and everyone was freaking out. But I want to ask the viewers to feel at home and ask or think of questions to leave in the comments. We will answer or honestly pass. I won't attempt something if I do not truly know it. So I usually express my initial feelings or my heart's urges to express its trueness, regardless of what is said or imposed. I won't go into those details. We're not allowed to talk about that stuff. So let's see. The dangers of AI tech on a grand scale. Being replaced at workspaces, like I've been hearing a lot about Amazon's gotten rid of over 80% of their employees and replaced them with artificial intelligence that will fill your order for you without human hands touching it. So there's a little bit of an example of how the integration of AI technology is being used in workplaces and in major companies. Like they have computers build our cars instead of human hands. Computers building computers.
Well, they even got in IA with surgeries now.
Yeah. The Neuralink and Starlink, Tesla group. 5G equals the 5D artificial frequency. It's not natural organic frequency from God's source I call the universe. It's a reverse frequency being bombarded on us. That's why we have animals dying, plants are dying off.
Shannon Boomgod says, I know an AI specialist if you want his name, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, send that to me privately. Or you can throw it.
I would like to find out too. That's interesting. I would like to know him as well.
Throw it up in chat.
Daisy's with us. How you doing, Daisy?
Hi, Daisy.
Hi, Daisy. Okay. Here's a little bit of something I also wanted to cover is the shamanistic's mind of being half in and half out of states, mental states of consciousness. higher states that can last for days as this certain type of channeling remains open. The concept of how a computer can use spare hard drive space as backup RAM to use as processing boosts or to prevent memory lag. Kind of like the same principle within the conscious constant channel. Kind of like leaving a piece of your mind in the library of the Akashic records. That's a method of how I do it is like being clear cognizant. It's like I know things without even having to research them, but then I can go back and research what I know, and it comes up. It's like I'll search in keywords, like say for example, here's a good one to search up: Lumeria and the Electric Wars. Those keywords will pull up so much information, and what it was a war on the energy of the crystals, the crystal technology that they used. You can touch a crystal and implant hundreds of bytes of information from your mind into the crystal. And this is what they did. And the crystal tech, it powered their cities, it powered their temples and all that stuff. It's how they passed that on to an adept, and that adept could grab the crystal and channel the information out of the crystal and learn everything that was embedded into it. But the Electric Wars kind of gave away to all that, and that's what blew up Stargate 3.
So in other words, that was like that would be like transmitters. In other words,
Right. Some more on here. Like these are old notes. Like
I believe that's possible because when I do the energetic healings, right, I use
right.
this. I use this. This is shungite.
Okay. I was gonna say onyx, but
no, this is shungite, and it actually emits an energetic frequency of its own.
Right.
And this is the only stone on Earth that they know that does that. The only place that it can be found is in Russia. And what emits the energetic frequency from this shungite is an element called fullerene.
Okay.
Yeah. And a matter of fact, I can show you. I can show you with a ohms meter that this actually produces an energetic frequency.
Interesting.
So I got a ohms meter here. I'm going to put it on the frequency setting. Let me lower my camera a little bit so you can see. Okay, now when I touch these two electrodes, you're going to hear a frequency. You ready?
Yep. Wow. You can hear it pulsing too. Wee wee wee.
Yeah,
wee,
it pulses, yeah.
That is incredible.
You don't even get that out of crystal, but you will get it out of the shungite, and that's due to the element known as fullerene.
That's some cool stuff there.
Well, this is what I use when I do my energetic healings sessions over the internet.
Right.
I use that shungite stone, and that helps me not only transmit but utilize and send the energy where I concentrate about where I want it to go.
So I wanted to present this to the viewers. Something I drew.
Okay, I take that to be a castle of some sort, right?
It's a kingdom, yeah.
Kingdom, yeah.
but it's on the top of a giant pillar, and there's a staircase that swirls around the top to the castle, and there's an ocean down at the bottom, right? It's kind of like we're splitting the ocean with a pillar in the middle type of thing. But I have a writing that goes with it, and this is a kind of symbolic or metaphoric, whatever you want to call it. But I wrote, there will come a day when people will ask you, where are these kingdoms? You find your answer to them and say, they are already within you. They will ask you, how is there any kingdoms within? You shall answer them and say, you first must look within yourself. They will ask you how to look within, and you will teach them how to see. Some of them will not see themselves and will disbelieve you. They will discredit your teachings, for you will fear them. They will be scared of you, right? You will assure them that through this way they can find these kingdoms. They will look at you in bafflements and become confused, and you will tell them to listen. Listening doesn't require mortal ears. The body will tell you what it feels and needs. Most of all, your choices through life are common sense decisions. In all your deepest desires, there is a voice that sits in silence, striving to be heard, staying or laying dormant until awakened by a jolt of light. A. Striving for light. It dwells in darkness. This place never sees the sun, though much light is formed. They will be stricken with fear by you. All right. In order to find it, ones must take that plunge into their own shadows, though fear not what is found therein. For what is found is your own self and your biggest fears. Man fears what he knows not. Beneath the surface lies the way. We can only progress when we surrender to ourselves. We have to be humble and reflect upon ourselves before we can move forward in our lives. We can surrender to our higher power and our higher selves. We will become closer to our serenity and bliss, an open-minded opinion and outlook of life. These kingdoms are already there for your discovery, waiting for you in eternity. That's something I wrote, and I think it's significant to, developing a spiritual prowess about ourselves.
Well,
You
yeah,
know
I
that
mean, it's good to explore the inner self. It's not the inner kingdoms we have to fear, it's the outer kingdoms.
right.
That
But
is right.
when we reflect on ourselves, we'll remember things that may have scared us, or deep things about ourselves that we are scared of, like losing our composure, or lashing out, or becoming offended of a thought that we have of ourselves. And in order to change and progress past those, inner reflection is required, or else we can keep ourselves blocked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Shannon Boomgod says, interesting. I did a special on the crystal skulls and tried to figure out why the aliens chose crystal to make the skulls from.
Yeah, I think that's symbolic too. It's also symbolic for the crystalline body also.
And
And
Daisy Ten Pony says, I think the crystal skulls are like hard drives. I think every human moment and thought are recorded in them.
right. Are you guys familiar with the song Fast Car by Tracy Chapman?
Yeah.
I've heard of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this turned into a dream journal, but it says
Hi, Chris.
journal. I started it in 2018 on October 28th. It says dreams and my own grails on the front. All right, and it says diaries left with cryptic entries right here. There's very cryptic words in here, but there's a couple of dreams that I've had that I wanted to share with people. This is kind of random for the show, so and maybe there's some interpreters who can help figure out this stuff.
I've shared the show 15 times.
So here's okay. First dream was at night and to be aware of the walking deaths that linger around any path you may choose. Always bring a smudge for protection. Second dream was looking for a gathering on a second street. In an older town I had never been to, yet seemed familiar. A mysterious, fast car, super fast and dark, could turn a corner at lightning speeds in a 90-degree angle. I feel a major threat may be closer than I imagined. Someone I knew got into this car and away they went. They, as in the car and the soul. The soul I knew is no longer in my dreams. All I could hear in the silence was the fast vehicle. I was riding a bicycle. Finding the same anonymous group kept telling each other the word rude and how here's a rude person now. I will find an answer soon. And I actually pondered on that for a while. And I asked, like, interpreted my dream, and I found out that rude actually means realize or realization, utilization, dedication, and evolution. Because if you don't use the three before, you can't evolve. You have to realize things, you have to utilize your gifts and your abilities, and you have to dedicate yourself to using them in order to evolve. If you just sit around and wait for things to happen, you can't evolve by just sitting around. You have to
Well,
actually do the work.
the nature of the human being is, some just have to learn the hard way, others don't.
Right. So that was the part about the fast car, and like I had another dream where radiation was spilling in East Australian current, infecting the entire USA, but the Northwest, residing from the Northeast region of the map. From a leak from a nuclear plant, cement confinement next to the ocean, it broke and it leaked out the nuclear waste into the waters. And I wrote this also of 2020. And then this year they've started to find out how the nuclear melt, like the chemicals in a certain by the Hudson River is boiling or something like that from nuclear fallout or nuclear waste from the power plant, and it's smoking. So like that kind of correlates with that dream vision that I had. It's kind of weird. So like not all dreams have to mean something, but a lot of them I believe are the link between the subconscious and the conscious mind. Like your subconscious mind knows the suffering of your conscious mind. What do we presume dreams are showing us? Many people do not know that our dreams are coexistent to our experiences through our lives. And a dream is a symbolic vision meant to offer an answer to a conscious dilemma. So like what you go through in your daily life, your brain in your subconscious mind will actually attempt to give you clues or answers on how to handle those situations, good or bad. So like say you're struggling with work and you start having a dream about bees stinging you or chasing you. Bees represent abundance and work, and because they're constantly working and busy, that's just a little bit. And then like elephants represent family, stability, and memory and stuff like that. God, the mosquitoes are bad out here tonight.
Shannon Boomgod's got a comment, I guess, regarding your dream. She said it seems to her that someone was taking off and going quickly forward while leaving the others behind.
Possibly. That's a good analyzation.
Chris Joan Marie says, love that song. It is in my head a lot. My best friend Tracy loved her, and she sang that song a lot before she died.
Right.
Tracy Chapman. Miss her dearly.
Yeah. I like Tracy Chapman too. That song is really like.
Daisy Ten Pony says, sorry for your loss. Chris
You
says,
know,
15 years since she died. Thank you. She was so special.
you know, like I said, like before this event happened to me, like I do quotation marks and I call it the event because it's something that changed my life. And like I haven't really had a chance to really talk about it all too much. I write about it and I'll make references to it, but before this happened, I didn't know anything. I was dumb, like literally naive, ignorant, susceptible to manipulations and all sorts of stuff. But then, like, when my mind woke up and opened up, like just that little bit, I started paying attention to things and looking around and seeing the bigger picture of, there's more to life than just living, dying, having a job, raising kids, and going to your grave. There's inner work and genetic work that we have to do in order to activate to those higher realms that we're striving to get to, if you know what I mean. Like, it felt like I had activated a little bit in that moment, and since then it's like it never passes or leaves my mind. Like, it always comes back full circle, and there's that epiphany, there's that synchronicity that comes back, or the deja vu, or something that reminds me that, hey, I'm getting off track, and like I've set myself a schedule on for days that I will do work. It's like my hours just pick back up at work, so like I do a lot of research, listening to podcasts and stuff like that while I'm working, because it's something I can do and listen at the same time. I don't really have to watch, but it's more of like the words that I'm listening to, unless there's like examples, like people are throwing things like this up.
The Four Agreements.
That's a good book. I've read it 4 times. It's a really awesome book.
Wow. What are the Four Agreements?
It's a Toltec prophecy, a Toltec wisdom book. And the first agreement is be impeccable with your words, right? Like, make sure you explain yourself, and to help others understand. I don't say understand. I like being underneath things. It makes no sense. I like standing with it, or learning about it more and then being overstanding of it. So once you learn about something, you're understanding it, and then when you know it very well, you're overstanding it, and that means you've progressed beyond that stage. So now I'm starting to overstand some of the things that I used to understand, but now I'm getting better at understanding those things. So I'm starting to overstand those things. It's wordplay.
Yeah, well,
The second agreement.
Why define it? Just say standing, and that's it.
Standing in it. Yeah.
You're standing. Otherwise, it doesn't really need it. You don't really have to define it. You're just standing.
Right.
That you stand.
Mm-hmm. Then the second agreement is don't take anything personally, because not everything people do are directed at you or at another person. Maybe they're just, the phrase "you spot it, you got it" type thing. I'm spotting that. I'm calling that out, but that's not because I'm pointing the finger at no one else. I may be pointing the finger at myself, but this person over here connected with that, and maybe they have that same flaw, or maybe they have that same thought. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, unless someone is making a direct attack at you, then don't take everything somebody says or does personally, because that will also hinder your progression to ascension. You get what I'm saying? Like, we have to. Okay. And then the third agreement is don't make assumptions. And making assumptions is like, for example, I was out playing ball. Didn't really happen. It's an example. I'm trying to make a parable here. I was out playing ball with the buddies, but yeah, I came home late. So this person assumes that I was out getting drunk or something with the boys, but that wasn't really the case, because I come back sweaty in basketball shorts and stuff like that or whatever. It's just it's an example.
You're out getting drunk with the girls instead, right?
No. And then the last but not least is
Vic McEnroe says a lot of people are being held back by the matrix. They haven't gone beyond the frequency fence.
Right. They're still pushing through those veils. And there's lots of them. There's 12 veils at least, just in the physical world. And the fourth agreement is always do your best, because when you always do your best, you have no room for failure. If you always do your best and you're always happy with what you do, you're always presenting your best work. It doesn't mean you don't have room for bettering yourself or what you do. It's just, if you do your best, you're happy and you're content with the best of your ability at this time, right, at this moment in your life. So
if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Right.
It depends on how what your desire is and how bad you want it.
Right.
You have to strive.
But always do your best in that endeavor. Always do the best you can, because if you did your best, you didn't fail. Like, even like in school, like I did my best in math, but I still failed. It's not the same thing. I mean, like when I do work and like make projects and shit, excuse my language, I always do my best. I mean, it gives room for improving my best, but it doesn't give room for me to, oh, that was horrible.
Well,
that's not acceptable.
How do you do with math? How do you do with math now?
I'm way better at math now.
Well, that's because you didn't give up, right?
That's because I didn't give up. I kept improving my math skills.
Exactly.
That was probably the only subject I had a problem in, was math, because like out in the real world, I don't use math all that much, besides like count my money and count my hours and like add up my bills or subtract those bills from my cash flow, and that's about the only math I use. How many pages I read, or I'm not doing calculus and trigonometry and stuff like that. It's basic life is formed off sacred geometry, and I passed geometry, so I mean, like, it's not really all that much.
Yeah, Jonathan Kipps says, yeah, Christopher, I agree. You become fulfilled with your full potential, given in terms of effort.
Right.
That's right. Effort is the key.
Yep. Anybody have like, okay, how do you know if you improve?
How do you know if you improve if you was not into the subject?
Well, that's okay if you're not into certain subjects. I like to maybe poke my finger into the subject just a little bit and get the gist of like what it is, but then it'll come back around, and so okay, maybe this is a little more important to me than I first realized. And then as it keeps coming back and coming back around, I delved a little bit deeper into it, if I was interested or not. But it's more like, in my opinion, it's something that it triggers an interest. And that triggered interest kind of helps you or inspires you, I should say, inspires you to learn more about it. Like
Yeah.
I didn't
Affiliate.
know what. Go ahead, Bradley.
Affiliate. You affiliate with subjects, and you
Right.
just can't help it. It resonates with you. That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's
Like
what's
the whole
happening with you,
CD,
Christopher.
like the whole CDT plate thing is very ancient. It's there's 12 of them total, and it's all, not very many people understand this stuff or have even heard about them. Um, but like just like old ancient Egyptian writings, there's not very many translators who have it accurate. Um, it's like, okay, we can look at the hieroglyphs all day and make our own assumptions on what they mean, but what do they truly mean? There's lots of scholars that think they know, but it's pictures say 1,000 words, yes, but
Yeah, Joe Lane says, carefully choose your words. Life or death in the power of the tongue. Personal attacks or tests. Don't assume. Fact or reality. Don't stay in the past where it overtakes you, your present. In
yes.
whose eyes is it success or failure? This is but a school of learning. If you have dreams of being in school, you are still learning. This is a school of life that we are in at the moment. And in the school of life, we are all here to learn.
Right. And I've had dreams where I was in school still. And I was actually in one of the dreams I was half teaching and half sitting in a desk. And in the other dream I was actually fighting off bullies that were trying to prevent me from learning certain things. And so I was like, it's pretty interesting that they had said that about, if you're still having dreams of going to school. It's like I haven't had one of those for a while, but that's pretty interesting that they would say something about dreams and being in school. I like that.
Joe Lane says yes, in the Bible, every thought is recorded.
I made a video and posted it to my YouTube about some mindful thought is the title of it. And it talks about, I don't remember exactly where this came to me from, but it was somebody or something or what had told me it is very wise to write down our experiences and to document our knowledge, because what are we using right now to talk with everybody? We're using the internet. It's a tool, but that tool can easily be switched off, right? It could easily be erased from the archives. So like all the videos we make, all the knowledge we post and all that stuff, I feel it's wise to write it down, handwrite it or type it, and preserve it for future generations, because the way things are going, if we don't start preserving our knowledge and passing it on, there isn't going to be this stuff to find, and it's all going to be corrupted. You know what I'm saying? Distorted, corrupted, and further down a dark hole that we don't want to go in.
So what do you think about the Akashic records?
Well, the Akashic records are the storing of every event and every life ever.
Yeah, but you're
come
saying
into this existence.
Yeah, but you're saying if you don't record it, it's not going to be recorded, and if it won't be truth. Do you think the Akashic records are truth?
Yes, it's an organic library. It's a place where you can like a lot of people depict it as a crystal they touch and they get all this information. Some people depict it as a holographic book. Some people depict it as a living library, like I do. It's a place where you can go to seek knowledge that isn't available on the surface. It's some people use it as a spying device. Like they go in there and they channel a person's life and they get all this information about a person's life. I'm not down with that. Leave people's personal business alone, but go there to seek out like the mysteries and the secrets that we aren't being taught. That's how I use it. I don't use it to poke my nose into people's business. Like how many lives they've had or whatever. It's all about this time around, and the karmic returns that we get from our previous lives or whatever we are figuring out this time around. And yeah, there's people out there that want to know, like, what did I do in my past life and how can I fix it? Well, you're here now to fix all that, you know. And as you do good to others and service to others in positive ways, instead of like, what can you give me, you know, in my, for return of my graces and my services, what can you give me? It's like there's a line to draw. It's also, there's good deeds we do that we should be doing, that will cancel out the negative karma that we have accumulated over these lives. So, like, say for example, I was a Roman emperor in the past life, and I slaughtered a bunch of pagans and Celtic people, and took their heads and put their heads on peg posts, and killed their priests and burned their libraries and stole their knowledge. That's a lot of negative, dark karma on my ass. All right. In order for me to fix that, I need to realize the better path to follow and allow people to, you know, yeah, I don't want baby sacrificers and blood drinkers in my world, but that's going to happen. It's because the messages got distorted and twisted. And it's
Well,
like in the Bible it says, drink my blood and eat my flesh. This is the body of Christ. That's where that message got distorted. So now we got a bunch of sacrificers and blood drinkers and flesh drinkers out there, flesh eaters out there.
well, I believe karma. What goes around comes around. You know,
Right.
you
That
may
what
have
you're
enjoyed,
explaining
you
is
may
a
have
metaphor.
enjoyed yourself in that life, but in this life you'll pay for it. The next life. Get it?
Yeah.
That's a metaphor. What you're saying, though, Chris. I reckon
That was a what?
a metaphor.
Chris John Marie says, I had a
Drink my
weird
blood.
experience last night. My crystals and world globes started vibrating on their own. It happened twice.
Yeah.
That is weird. What were you saying, Bradley?
She
Yeah,
said,
that's a metaphor, I believe. Drink my blood, eat my flesh is a metaphor.
It
yeah.
is, yes. But people misconstrued it. They they got it misconstrued and they took it literally, which it wasn't literal.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right. I agree.
there is a such thing as vampires, supposedly.
Yes, energy vampires and blood vampires, and I do believe that a lot of, the dark ones, they're not we're not talking about hue here. We're talking about
Yeah.
energy, the
so
dark ones.
So what do you think of Chris was saying here? Dude, it was crazy. The globe is also a crystal. I couldn't explain it. It's on a sturdy desk. Nothing else in my room moved. So she can't explain it.
Was it like moving or was it spinning on its own? She said vibrating, right?
Vibrating, yeah.
Huh.
Daisy Tempone says she took communion in a Catholic church today. Just drinking red wine and eating the rice paper. That's the body of Christ. That's a metaphor.
She says the rocks were shaking and the globe was spinning on its own.
How are the rocks like laid out around the globe? Were they all on one side or were they on separate sides? I have a thought here that maybe the energy of the crystals or the rocks were resonating in a way that the crystal globe itself picked up on that frequency and started spinning on its own. Or you could have had some type of entity spinning it. I don't want to say things that will scare people though. See, so I'm trying to open my mind up to other possibilities, like what Jim showed us in the beginning. His crystal lets off a frequency, and if you have enough of them dispersed around in a certain area, those frequencies will like coexist with each other and combine, and you can actually create movement with crystal magic.
Wendy Hebner said, I truly believe in karma. Yeah, karma is real, I believe. I wasn't sure at one time, but I do reckon it's true. Benny C. Trent says, "Do you think you can open the Book of Thoth?"
All I know is that Toth was entrusted with one of the 12 tablets or plates. And this is the part where I get a lot of triggers from people. So I'm not saying these things to trigger anybody, but he was entrusted with one of the 12 CDT plates and he translated it. And this was before he joined with the Illuminati lines and turned against the worldly inhabitants. I don't look at him as a bad guy, though. I mean, with all the clans being raided and slaughtered, there was no other choice but to side with the guys that were committing all the horrendous acts because he wanted to save his family, his family and his collective. So, I mean, join us or die type thing. I mean, I don't really want to die, but I can't overpower you because my clan isn't big enough. So, I mean, I guess we'll join with you. You know what I'm saying?
You can't beat them, join them, yeah.
Yeah. But then that's not the right way to go either. I would rather die than somebody offer me, like, I want to take your soul. Well, no, you're going to have to kill me for that.
Some say Thoth enhanced our lives. Some say Thoth brainwashed us. That's debatable.
I feel it's both. In the beginning, he was part of the Emerald Covenant, which was the human agenda. And it wasn't the Belial agenda, and it wasn't there's the Belial agenda, and then there's the.
He also wrote the Book of the Dead, didn't he, Chris? The Book of the Dead.
What?
Thoth also wrote the Book of the Dead.
Right.
Which I
those artifacts that were found in Egypt. Yeah, there's the Book of Life and the Book of the Dead. There is the Necronomicon, which was found in South America somewhere. The Lesser and Greater Keys of Solomon. I don't think those are found in Egypt though, but those two books though I just mentioned, the Solomon books, those are about necromancy and demonology, and it's got all the what do you call them? Pentacles. The pentacles of all the planets and how to call upon their deities. But somewhere in those books it says that Solomon had used incantations to harness, use, and enslave the worldly deities to help him build his temple. And then when he was done, he enslaved them, and he enslaved them in 72 copper cubes with inscriptions on them. And those copper cubes have been found in a river in England.
Really? The
Bernie C. Trent is saying the Apocrypha.
The 13 missing books of the Bible. The Apocrypha.
Yeah, the missing books of the Bible. I don't know much about those at all.
Well,
I've heard about it a lot. But,
my opinion would be that's where the truth lies.
Well, if you think about it, why would they remove something from something so holy? If if you think about it, like those books they removed intentionally to keep that knowledge from us, so we can't become more powerful knowing these things. We could do pretty much the same things they do. Like, I know that there's many moons in play that they've coming up on the latter day, we got many moons that are still in play. We got, that's Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it's clues to like the Dark Lords are using magic and chaos magic during moon phases to get their agendas to roll out, because they also use blood magic, which is blood over intent. And anytime you use your blood in a spell, it is actually manifesting that spell to come true. But it comes at a price, because you're using your blood, which is your spiritual essence. It's your payment in the afterlife. It's a lot of things. It's where your soul essence goes. it's a, that's my opinion and my belief about it. It's like I've done a lot of like research on blood over intent magic, and it's, you know, there's a price to pay for using blood magic.
Also, if the Bible is a book of lies or misinformation, why has it been censored?
Right.
You know, why would you
I think
censor
they left
something?
in all the bullshit to people for people to ponder if, you know, but there's some truth there, but like I don't follow an alien Bible. I don't. I used to be very, very religious. I used to go every Sunday, every Wednesday to all the little Bible studies and all the groups. But like when my grandma died, the family kind of fell apart. I stopped going to church because my grandpa was devastated. They even excommunicated him from the church. And why would a church do that? Why would they excommunicate you because you were lonely and you found a friend to hang out with? You know, he was 80 something years old when he finally met a neighbor lady that he was going to lunch with and stuff like that because grandma told him, I don't want you to be lonely, you know. But both my grandparents have appeared to me in my dreams, and I wrote about those. I drew pictures of the dream and how it looked and what I seen in the dream. It's just crazy. Like I do a lot of analyzing my own dreams. It's like I don't know. It might be weird, but only you know what you've been through, and only you can interpret what your dreams mean to you. Like if you have questions, then like look up what the symbolisms mean. You know, look up what those symbolisms mean, or what those, what you're being shown. Like one time I had a dream, there was a shadow monster in my dream, and I stood up to it, and it was trying to enslave me or something or take over my mind, and I beat it. I overpowered it with information, and it left me alone, and it hasn't bothered me since. The mosquitoes are thick right now.
Daisy says being in a church causes me great anxiety, and I had to go today.
I could tell you I've checked out about 7 different churches, and I've only found one that actually allowed people to speak their heart content instead of what they were trying to program into these people. You know, and it was like Community Faith Hope Center or something. It didn't have like a normal church name. You know, it wasn't like Southern Baptist or Catholic or Mormon or Christian or Seventh Day Adventist or Presbyterian or anything like that. It was, you know, Community Faith Hope Center. Simple. So it was like more of like a community collective.
Jim McFarland says the Bible is nowadays to scare people with a threat you don't know what to do, but the brainwashing tool says you're going to hell. No such place as heaven or hell as the modern day Bible depicts.
Basically what he's saying is it's a fear tactic.
Right.
They're drilling into people like, if you do not follow these words to the T,
Right.
then
Yeah,
you
they
will be
use-
condemned to a fiery
Right.
afterlife
Right.
of hell and agony,
By the good-
which
by the
isn't
good-
true.
By the good and loving God, nevertheless, which can be scary.
Why would a good and loving God
minute.
condemn your soul to a fiery pit when
That's
he's
what I'm
supposed to
saying.
be forgiving and loving and,
which can
you
be
know,
which can be scarier than Satan himself.
yeah. I mean, just that, you know, but then I've seen videos where near-death experience people come on, and I think it's more of what they've allowed to program their minds that becomes their reality. Okay. Like I've never had like I've had dreams where I've died, but I instantly wake up out of my sleep and like I'm soaking wet. I'm having chest pains and I'm breathing heavy. And like I've never seen like someplace so evil and twisted, you know. I've never,
you know,
but there's a lot of these like hardcore religious people that have programmed their conscious to that narrative, where they truly believe that this place exists. So when they have an NDE, they've actually seen that place. So maybe, maybe they have a lot of work to do in order to bring themselves up out of that low level of despair. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's mostly a mind state and your conscious awareness. Like, if you're in a low vibrational state, then you're gonna be living. You attract what you vibrate with, right? So if
Yeah,
you're
you can manifest. You can manifest what you believe.
yeah, and fear manifests twice as easy as hope.
One can also manifest what one don't believe.
Right.
You know, you can witness a
Whenever
manifestation.
when two or more are gathered in the energy, the manifestation power is times 100. So it's like,
You can witness manifestations that you never imagined in your life.
right.
You know, that's not from the mind.
Yeah, well, if life is an ongoing process without beginning, without end, and you keep reincarnating, and nature is a never-ending recycling process, heaven and hell would imply a final destination, which goes against it.
Right. And the whole reincarnation loop is kind of, we're not meant to keep coming back to the same third dimension. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're meant to have long lives. We are meant to, well, not necessarily have wings, but we are meant to be able to activate our chakral fields to the point where you build a Merkaba, which is a transportation vehicle for something called a light body and
Yeah.
a crystalline
Right.
body. It's an energetic field that allows you to jump timelines and jump realities and densities and dimensions. And the more we get stuck in this lower density, it is actually spending what soul energy we have each time. So once we run out of that energy, we will not be able to reincarnate or go anywhere else. We'll turn back into the space dust consciousness and have to re-evolve back into the system, back into the organic living system, and drop all this robotic stuff. All this robotic stuff is a no-no. It's not meant for organic people to be involved with. Like,
Jim McFarlane says God and Lucifer are one and the same.
both the same energy.
Same energy. That's
I
right.
say that a lot too. See, you have one source with three
Right.
leaves.
You have one singularity with two different polarities.
Right.
Within one singularity.
Within one singularity, and you have to understand both of those polarities in order to reunite the two oceans of the mind or the consciousness. You got your good and your bad, your light and your dark, or your masculine and feminine. So in order to rejoin the parted oceans, we have to it's like the Tool song Schism, reinvent communication with ourselves and our soul and our spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Instead of having this cognitive dissonance, always butting heads, you have to come to an agreement and form a unity, or else it's going to crumble the whole temple to the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like you said, things end and then they start over again.
Yeah, one end is another beginning.
So if one temple crumbles, another one will rise.
Right.
What's the difference?
But that's why I said build your house on a firm foundation, like on a rock.
That's
an
why
immovable foundation.
The two opposite polarities is not only why we have an inner struggle, but why we even struggle with each other.
Right.
And
because that schism,
that struggle will always be there.
It's because they've got us believing in thousands of different things when there's only a couple little things to believe in. In order to progress, it's about, like I said earlier, we have to understand the differences between the both. We have to
they can't
learn about both in order to understand the whole.
There can't be one without the other.
Right. And if
For
you want to be on
example,
one side or the other, you're not going to find your unity.
Let me ask you this. If evil rose up against good to the point of victory, right?
Right.
At that point in time, would good become evil? Would evil become good itself? At that point in
No.
time, it would no longer be serving any useful purpose, right?
Right. But what does it do to the populace after its victory? Like, look what happened with, you know, the destruction of the ancient world. Since then, you know, there's been an agenda, 2 agendas being played out, and it's all against another agenda which they're trying to eliminate.
Well,
And
you got one side believing what they're doing is right, and the other side that's against it. That's the way
right.
things work. It's never going to
Well,
change.
the ones doing the endeavors are always going to agree with themselves,
It's
and then
never
their
gonna change.
followers.
It's never going
Huh?
to change. It'll never change.
Not until we expose enough of it.
How much more can you expose?
It's as soon as the lagging collective catches up to the conscious collective, I think it'll start balancing out. But we can't stop it once it's everything's balanced out. We have to push further, and you know, teach people about the uniting of the consciousness and the light and the dark, and you know, the masculine and feminine energies, and how to, you know, I still learn about all that all the time, and it still, you know,
the only
I try
way
to keep my mind, I try to keep my brain out of the equation and just have my mind to do all the work, because your brain is going to try to trick you. You know what I'm saying? Your brain's going to just think up of anything, when the will, or the initial feeling, I call the will, because if you're not listening to your inner voice, which could be deceiving you, but it may feel like deception at the same time. So like, you have to connect.
The
You have
only
to
way
connect with your.
the only way to neutralize it would be self-annihilation.
Well, who wants to do that?
Well, exactly.
Who wants to destroy themselves?
So why complain?
I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to help people understand the process.
Well, we know what the process is. There's a yin and a yang. It'll always be that way.
Right. The polarities, but you have to conjoin the polarities in order to be united.
The big question is, what is the solution? My opinion is man is the cause and never will be the solution.
Right.
I think we are the solution. Your hour is up, Christopher. I don't know what you want to do.
Yeah, we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah, I gotta.
Anyway, Chris, right?
I gotta get going to work.
Thanks for your time, Chris. It's been a pleasure to have you on board.
Yeah.
Anytime, man.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
I was glad to be here. I was happy to be here too. So,
all right.
Lots of comments to read.
We'll see you on the next one.